Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to another StarCraft 2 video. What I got for you today is a Platinum League match of Terran versus Zerg. So that does mean that indeed this is going to be a viewer-submitted replay of StarCraft 2. So I am ready for something a little bit crazy, for something out of the ordinary. Spawning here in the top left-hand corner of Catalyst LE and playing with the red Terran SCVs. Believe it or not, I am like 99% sure he is closely related, probably a cousin or so, to none other than Bob the Builder himself. We have a Battle Bob. Battle Bob, easily one of the greatest nicknames I have ever heard. I would like to imagine that Battle Bob has been using this nickname ever since he was like 7 years old and he first signed up for RuneScape. When he first made his very first RuneScape account, I would like to imagine that Battle Bob was born. I mean, I'm assuming everyone played RuneScape, right, when they were younger, or maybe you still play it. I mean, I'll be honest, I played RuneScape for like a decade. We can talk about that for a very long time. And his opponent spawning in the bottom right-hand corner and playing with the blue Protoss probes. I wish I could tell you his nickname, but sadly, I guess we will never know. We have none other than Mr. Barcode. Mr. Barcode. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, some people like to play with a nickname that has these lines in them. A lot of professional gamers do this all the time to basically make it hard to guess who you're going up against when you are indeed playing at the very highest level of StarCraft 2, just to make it a little bit more complicated when you, for example, have to face off against opponents in upcoming tournaments as well. You want to make it just a little bit harder to know which of the players you are indeed facing. Not entirely sure why Mr. Barcode here is playing under one of those nicknames in Platinum League, but I'll be honest, I've actually got a Barcode account myself as well that I do like to play on from time to time. Although, I'm personally a big fan if you have multiple StarCraft nicknames to just simply make an account and come up with something silly. I mean, for example, one of the accounts that I play on right now is called Winky Face. Winky Face? Does anyone recognize that? I've really been liking those Smurf nicknames. But anyways, before I blabber on about unrelated stuff, let's see what both players have got in store for us. Couple of Marines here for Battle Bob. The question is, can he fix it? I guess there is only one way to find out, and with fixing it, I of course mean winning this game. He's now going for that low ground command center, and he's following it up with another barracks, as well as one right here on the low ground as well. So he's already going up to 4 barracks. Battle Bob, assuming that he is currently playing Mono Battles. Mono Battles, of course, a game mode in the arcade of StarCraft 2 where you can only make one unit when you are indeed playing the game. So, for example, if you random into Marines, so you pick Marines, you will only be able to make Marines. And that's exactly what Battle Bob is doing so far. Not getting any gases here whatsoever, just a bunch of barracks. And interestingly enough, I've actually played a bunch of 2 vs 2 over at the live stream as well, where both of us decide to go for 7 barracks Marine on 1 base. And believe it or not, if you're playing with 16 SCVs on minerals and 1 mule on minerals as well at any given time, you can actually afford to produce out of 7 barracks without add-ons and of course without any upgrades or whatever, really early on into the game. You can actually make non-stop supply depots and non-stop Marines if you have 16 SCVs and just 1 mule mining. Out of 7 barracks, it's kind of insane. So you can indeed produce a massive army, and that's kind of what Battle Bob is trying to do. Now, of course, in the meantime, on the other side of the map, we do see a couple of Stalkers now moving across. The Marines will now finally show themselves, and I think that, indeed, Mr. Barcode here must recognize as well that there are quite a few. Nice little bit of micro there. If I'm not mistaken, actually, Mr. Barcode here did have a... gotta be careful. He did have a Diamond League border when the replay was loading up, so you should have a very good understanding of how this matchup works. So far, though, he's only sitting on a single on a single gateway. I would really like to see him add on 1 or 2 more, or maybe like a Stargate or a robotics facility. Although, if he's also playing Mono Battles, he could just continue playing with non-stop. Yeah, look at that. He's already queuing up more Stalkers. There we go. Robotics facility deal, or the robotics facility though will go down. And even though the Warp Gate research just finished up as well, apparently he's just going to continuously queue up more and more Stalkers in that gateway. Probe now though heading over towards the 3rd base. Not sure if that's the smartest move, and even though these Marines don't have any upgrades, they are still in plentiful numbers. Here we go. Battle Bob deciding that he wants to make a move for it across the map. There is a single shield battery that should make defending this significantly easier, but of course, Marines do have an insane amount of DPS, although at this point Bob has decided that he wants to target fire down that shield battery pylon as well. It did end up going down there, but at the same time, right, he is not really killing any of these Stalkers. Beautiful micro so far. He actually by our player in blue, who is just about to finish up his blink upgrade as well, so he can continuously micro. Pulling back the weakened Stalker, actually, but more and more Marines have now arrived on the other side of the map. Still no upgrades whatsoever coming up here for BattleBob. He is still sitting on 0 gas here in total. Now, of course, Stalkers do outrange these units as well, but they do kind of have to stand still. I think that actually Mr. Barcode there tried to use blink Stalkers there, trying to micro that one Stalker back. So far, not really getting the value just yet, but he hasn't really lost anything critical either. But look at that train on the minimap. More and more Marines are currently piling on the pressure on the other side, and there's already more and more barracks now coming up here as well for Mr. Bob. Now, eventually, right, this is not looking bad at all. Eventually, he should be able to power through this. There is now a robotics bay coming up here as well for our Protoss player. He's now going for what I think is going to be a second robotics facility as well. So he may be able to switch towards Disruptors or Colossi in just a little bit. But Marines are moving across. They are dealing a lot of damage. And even though BattleBob is currently sitting on 600 resources, there are only, there's only a single gateway here for our player with the Protoss pieces. And that does mean that he is indeed going to be forced to pull all of the probes off the line. Now, the probes are taking a huge amount of damage. Bob already picking up 18 and 19, maybe even 20 of them in just a little bit. The reinforcing Marines, though, decide that they want to go ahead and hit away at that Nexus instead. And while both players so far are literally playing mono battles, this looks like it is going to go in favor of Marines. Now, I do a lot of mono battles over at the stream as well, and if there's one thing that I found out, if you're playing random mono battles and you random into Marines, it's the greatest thing ever. Although I would recommend, still getting yourself, for example, Stimp Pack or Combat Shield or +1 attack upgrades, or maybe a couple of Medivacs if you're feeling crazy, if you're playing the latter, because those units are all very good. I mean, Marines are great, don't get me wrong, but eventually this should get countered, right? Then again, the economy right now heavily in favor here of our Terran player. As a matter of fact, he is now pretty much doubling his opponent's supply there. Well, I say that, and immediately 2 Colossi do get started up. Chrono Boost will be activated, but a single pylon is powering all of this. If Bob sniffs that out, then he's target fire down that pylon with all of these reinforcing Marines. Look at the amount. He may actually be able to just simply win the game off of Marines alone. If he sniffs that out, yeah, he does it. He does notice it right now. He's going to be able to target fire down that pylon, prevent these Colossi from spawning. Stalkers from a bit of a distance still nibbling away at all of those units as well. But there's still only, well, I guess a couple of gateways have not been added on. But there's still so very little production here for our Protoss player. He's happily sitting on now 1,500 minerals here in total. And while once again, the boys will be pulled off the line. And they are now getting to this around here on all of those Marines. The expansion on the low ground has been killed by Bob, and Bob does not look like he's gonna slow down. Actually, now I think about it, there was a cat in RuneScape named Bob. Does anyone recall this? Has anyone ever played RuneScape in the comment section? Let me know. I played it way too much myself. Really like that game, though. Once again, though, that pylon is not destined to live. These Colossi desperately are trying to come out. Bob is like, no, not on my watch. We're playing team mono battles. You don't understand. Or I guess it's just singular mono battles right now. You don't understand. You only get to make Stalkers, and I only get to make Marines. And even though Mr. Barcode here did decide to go for, of course, a bunch of those blink upgrades as well, they are doing a phenomenal job, by the way, right now. Or he's doing a phenomenal job just keeping these Stalkers alive at this point. It does look like 5 workers is all that remains here for our Protoss player. And while Bob is not trading very cost efficiently here at all, look at that. 83 Marines have already gone down at this point in the game. He is still dealing a massive amount of damage. Now, a third base was taken here during all of that. Still, he's just rallying more Marines. I love this. So you can reach high Platinum League just sending Marines across the map. That's exactly what BattleBob is doing right now. Now, let's look at his production. Yeah, he's queuing up a bunch of Marines as well. He could definitely, if he was landing more mules and he was doing the macro thing a little bit better, he could definitely just make pure Marine. This makes me curious how high up on the ladder you can go just playing non-stop Marines only. Because this is... It's kind of silly though. Look at this. He's literally just making Marines and somehow, some way he's making this work. Once again though, the Stalkers... on paper, these Stalkers should eventually counter this. But I guess sometimes StarCraft 2 is just a numbers game. Now BattleBob does sniff out, hey, wait a second, there's probe moving across the map. He did now indeed figure out that there was another base taken here for our Protoss player in blue. He's still, yeah, he finally now finished up that pylon again there. So he is still indeed producing those Colossi. They are gonna come out in just a little bit. And even though it's been mono battles up to this point, then more and more Stalkers will be warped in. There we go. The laser boys are out. They're gonna be able to start shooting lasers out of their eye sockets straight on top of all of those Marines. And if there's one unit that is great at killing light army units, it is indeed going to be the Colossus. He did already finish up the extended thermal lance. That does indeed make it so that these Colossi will have a very easy time. 8 kills already on this single one. Make that 10. And while the Marines are target firing down a pylon, it does look like Mr. Barcode will be able to stabilize. Now, Bob, stop rallying units. Bob, these Marines have families. Bob, stop! Bob! Just... Bob! Okay, Bob, good job. Good job, Bob. Mr. Barcode has Colossi, man. They've already picked up 20 SC... or 20 Marine kills here in total. Now, for some reason... Like, he's finally getting some gases, right? Which I think is the correct call. For some reason, Battle Bob still hasn't gotten upgrades. I'm not actually all too critical on the fact that he's just making Marines, although it may not be the nicest idea against a bunch of Colossi. It seems to be working like a charm so far. I'm just kind of confused why he didn't go for any kind of, for example, combat shield or stimpak upgrades just yet. +1/+1 would be massive on these units. I mean, Marines shoot super quickly. They benefit so much from infantry weapon upgrades. Stalkers now, though, trying to make a move for it across the map. The Colossi did now figure out, indeed, a couple more Marines are nearby. They look from the top of the Colossi down below, and they recognize, hey, Marines are moving everywhere. Now, apparently, Bob is going to go for a bit of a, I guess, a Marine walk-by? I was going to say run-by, but it doesn't really look like a Zergling run-by, because they really run. These Marines are just chilling. They're mostly just strolling. I guess they're going on a patrol-by or something along those lines. Regardless... The Protoss army has now arrived on the other side of the map, and this actually is definitely going to deal some damage. These Colossi still picking up kill after kill after kill. There's very little available here for Bob, who is still rallying all of the units here across the map. Bob just simply looking at his army. You can see by the red mark here that this is the only thing that he's now controlling. He sent all of those units across. Question is, what exactly is Mr. Protoss going to do? Oh no, come on, leave a couple of units there, man. You could finish the game. If you would have left one Colossus there, you could have totally finished the game right now. Still, the Marines managed to walk into that base. Now, apparently, he also mass recalled towards the expansion rather than the main. That once again shuts down the production here in the robotics facility. I think actually just simply more Colossus would not be a terrible idea. But where are these Marines going? I think they're hunting pylons or something along those lines. Oh my god. Dude, the Colossus are... Like, the Colossi are dealing... Look at that! They're dealing so... Oh my god, the Marines are lining up to die. Oh my god, these Marines have families, Bob. Jeez. Last time I watched your cousin play, you know, Bob the Builder, he was just busy constructing. You would imagine the cousin of Bob the Builder would be a turtle Terran, right? Who's just making planetary fortresses everywhere, sitting on massive mechanical facilities, but... Maybe no one even knows what Bob the Builder is. I'm pretty sure Bob the Builder is common outside of the Netherlands as well. Anyway, once again, a bunch of Stalkers are trying to make a move for it across the map. The Colossi are already moving there. WTF is said here by Mr. Barcode, who now finds once again a bunch of Marines in his mineral line. He immediately does turn back around, which means that more and more Marines are now moving across the map. And Bob, he is not giving up on this just yet. He's producing 8 Marines at a time. He now produced... Don't you dare switch out... Bob, don't you dare make anything that's you know, not a Marine. I mean, you have to make Marines, Bob. You're not committed, dude. You're committed to the cause. Now, two next side do go up right here. I feel like if you switch out of Marines when you're this committed, you basically give up the game, dude. It's like he made a challenge for himself. He's like, well, you know what? Next game I play, I'm just gonna play Mass Marine. Or maybe Mr. Bob here just plays Mass Marine every single game. 33 kills on one Colossus and 32 on the other. These are the two brothers in arms over here, man. They are incredibly potent. Okay, yeah, that's GG. Bob is now going... Yeah, no, Bob is making... Bob, you committed to the Marine, and you're once again doing a bit of a run-by. The Colossi are once again moving across. Do you think Mr. Barcode here knows that you can actually split up your units? Do you think he recognizes that you can actually split up your units and just, you know... Oh my god. Couple more warpins wouldn't necessarily hurt either. There's still a lot of units here ready to defend. These Colossus though. Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. Just simply murdering units from afar. 9 range. Turns out to be pretty sweet. Now observers are out now. I like this a lot. Look at that. He recognizes that Bob is just simply sending hit squads of Marines across the map. And even though they don't have any support whatsoever, they now do get spotted by the observers in the sky. And that really does make this significantly easier here for our Protoss player. Come on, Marines, run! Run! If only you took your combat drugs with you, right? If only you brought your stim packs. Hey, where, by the way, do you think these Marines... oh, they killed one Stalker at least. Where do you think the Marines actually find all of their stim pack drugs? Does anyone know? Do you think they trade them in, like, the Marine locker rooms? Do you think there's locker rooms inside of the barracks? There must be, right? You're like, psst, do you want to have some stim packs? And then eventually, all of a sudden, the Terrans do finish up their research, and they find themselves with a massive amount of stuff. And all of a sudden, a plentiful amount of drugs, because every Marine has an infinite amount. Once again, though, Bob, now with these two Cyclones, even though I feel like that was a mistake, he is going to be able to do a substantial amount of damage, in particular to armored units. And of course, these... oh my god, great micro there, actually. Of course, these Stalkers... Oh my... These Stalkers are indeed armored, and they're going to be able to take a lot of damage from these Cyclones as well. And while Colossi aren't great against them, they will still does bzz, bzz, all of these units to their deaths. How many Marines have fallen so far? Let's have a look. 230... Bob, I feel like it's time for an intervention, Bob. Because, Bob, I feel like you're not realizing that all of these Marines have families. You're just simply rallying them across. I mean, you now mine out your main base, use all of those resources to you know... Who the heck accepts that contract over here for these Marines? Well, I guess they're technically convicts, right? So it's not really much of a contract. But regardless, how do they not go crazy if they know that everyone else, whoever got sent out on the map, never returned? Once again, the Colossi, he's just crossing his fingers, walking up a ramp, hoping... What is that gonna do? Well, he's just crossing his fingers, hoping that there's no Colossi standing on the top of the ramp. You would imagine these Colossi would be visible from a very far distance, but the Marines actually have very terrible sight, so they can't actually see what's going on. Immortal now joining the party here as well, even though he's only shown Marine, and I guess he's shown two Cyclones as well, right? So I guess that justifies getting just a single one of these Immortals. Thing is though, slowly but surely, even though Bob was more than doubling his opponent early on in supply, slowly but surely these Colossi are starting to pick up a huge amount of kills. I mean, they've almost got 100 kills here combined, and that's for the majority of the time just Marines. Couple of Cyclones now leading the Marines here as well to make sure that they can show to this Protoss player exactly where they're going to be engaging from. Once again, observers showing exactly where this army is located, although this time around, apparently he doesn't really care. I think he just needs to leave a couple of units over here and just slice and dice up this production. Right? No, just send the Colossus in, dude. You can clean everything up with the other units that are left over, or just produce more Colossi. Oh no, he's once again gonna massive recall the majority of his army towards the third base. And actually, with the majority of his army, I do mean his entire army. He's got 5 observers out on a map, which is more, like... He's almost got more more observers than fighting units. Once again, Marines are falling here. Oh my god, this started off as such a great game to be a Terran Marine in, right? I mean, you were fighting for the greater good, moving and marching across the map, trying to obtain the victory against these alien species. Or this alien species known as the Protoss, but then all of a sudden you find yourself just dying walking up a ramp. This started off really nicely for Bob. But Bob is slowly but surely falling down. For some reason, it all went downhill when he started producing Cyclones. Actually, it went downhill before that. When he decided that he was going to play pure Marines instead. You know, 10 plus minutes into the game. We are now 20 minutes into the game, and there is still no upgrade whatsoever for Bob. The only upgrade that Bob got is orbital commands. And I mean, if he wouldn't have gotten those, I would have been shouting at that for, or, you know, I would have been shouting at him for that for a little while. Now this time around, he's splitting up his units. Couple of hero Marines leading the charge here as well. Oh my god, they were literally sacrificed there. Blood for the blood god or something, I'm not sure. Maybe Battle Bob's army is, you know, believing in some sort of religion or ritual where they have to just sacrifice themselves in order to... Maybe these are the Marines that are possessed by Amon. That would at the very least, you know, explain a bunch. Once again, though, I would love to see the Protoss just get more Colossi. I mean, he's busy upgrading and he's warping in every once in a while, but I would love to see him just simply get more and more Colossi out. Even though he is apparently a Diamond League player, just simply having more units would be extremely useful. He's once again warping in a bunch of Stalkers. Not sure why it's Stalkers. He did already finish up his charge upgrade a little while ago. One Cyclone leading the charge here as well. More Marines coming up. These Colossus ready. 3, 2, 1. Bzz, and everything dies. Right? You count down, you blink twice, and all of a sudden, the Colossi pick up 61 kills and 55 respectively. That's ridiculous. They've got so much blood on their hands. 200 and... Bob is going crazy, dude. Bob is even worse than me playing Frostpunk. I don't know how many of you saw my Frostpunk playthrough, but man, did I kill a lot of people there for the greater good. I was legitimately feeling bad. Bob doesn't care though. Bob is just sending them. They're like, go forth, my minions. Fight for the Terran Dominion. Well, the Colossus apparently distracted here for just a little bit. Hold up. 3, 2... Oh, well, I was gonna count down for them to start the zapping, but the Marines are running. Here we go. Bzz, 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 bzz. Oh my god, they're targeting the Nexus. Bob, what are you... Bob! I really feel like this is some sort of Terran ritual we're experiencing right now. I mean, you know, there were several human tribes as well in the course of history that did similar things. I don't really know exactly what Bob is trying to do. I feel like Bob's plan is just to simply make a lot of Marines move across the map and cross his fingers and hope his opponent's army isn't there. It worked out well for the first couple of minutes. Now all of a sudden though, it's not as amazing anymore. Colossi though, continuous... Oh my god. They are picking up so many kills. Now all the Cyclones, once again, moved on the right hand side of the map and they did find another expansion here. Finally, look at that. Look at that brave warrior here is making a move for it. Finally, Mr. Protoss has decided that it is about time he starts moving forward towards the other side of the map. A couple of Immortals apparently also decided that it's about time that they get rid of their existence in this game. Because, of course, you know, they are not that amazing. Now, once again, they're not that amazing against Marines anyway. Once again, a couple of Colossi did come out. And look at that. They are gonna join the veterans who once again teleported all the way back home with the entirety of the army to pick up more and more kills. 369 Marines went down in this game. Look at that cost efficiency. 21,500 minerals went down here, and that is pretty much exclusively Spendle Marines. So like 20,000 minerals were Spendle Marines. And while they did, you know, kill a total of 77 probes here, which is definitely very nice, I really do feel like at some point, right, believe it or not, if you're a Terran player, just playing Mass Marine is not going to be the answer. I mean, Mass Marine still could be the answer if you get yourself Stimpack, Medevacs, and just simply drop them all over the map. Try to pull your opponent thin, right? Maybe even switching towards, for example, Marauders wouldn't be a bad choice either, right? Very easy switch to make. Significantly better than Cyclones. Just making 100 Marauders with Stimpack. I mean, maybe a little less than 100, but that would be absolutely phenomenal. Right now, though, Mr. Barcode, I think he's finally onto the strategy of Bob here. He knows that there's probably going to be a hit squad of Marines moving out somewhere. Because that has been the case of the Terran player here the entirety of the game. But once you manage to get on top of the Terran's production here, right? That's when you know you are in a great position. Couple of Marines moving across the map, marching forward. Few of them there in the back are a little bit more scared because they don't want to follow the other three to their deaths. They did just now find one of those robotics probes, and while a few Zealots will be charged in as well and the boys will be pulled, in the meantime on the other side of the map, the Colossi are just simply hanging out on top of the ramp. They haven't really had a whole lot of time to chill just yet, so, you know, it was their lunch break after all. 5th Colossus now also joining in. Apparently that one did pick up 10 kills while just simply marching across the map. Finally, a pylon has now also been constructed here by the Barcode Protoss, and I think that eventually, even though Bob has tried his very best to win the game, now apparently with a bunch of Hellions? Not entirely sure what the plan is over there, but even though he's tried his very best, I guess he ran out of minerals. Even though he's tried his very best and he's now once again constructing another command center as well as more and more barracks, it is not really working out nearly as nicely as he would like it to be. Marines now, oh my god, dude, he's sacrificing so many units! These Zealots are gonna have a field day! They are at +1/+1, they are at a... Oh, they just killed a whole lot of those SCVs, and even though this game looked absolutely horrible here for our Protoss player earlier, he's now finishing up the +2/+2 research. He just killed one of the opponent's orbital commands. One Colossus still bravely, apparently queued between all of these structures here because, you know, Colossi are the best at killing buildings, clearly. Look how much damage he's dealing there to that refinery. Whew, incredible work. Eventually, this army should be able to find out more and more of these bases. Now, Marines moving towards the bottom left-hand corner. Zealots, of course, charged with just simply murdering them on the spot as soon as they attacked anything. Pretty sure, though, if this Protoss player decided to just simply split up some of his army a little bit sooner, he would have been in a significantly better position here as well. I mean, he's just killing... Why is he not checking these other bases? When you play StarCraft a lot, here's what happens, okay? When you play StarCraft 2 a lot... like, for example, I do, or maybe you watch a lot of StarCraft, it becomes really easy to become that backseat gamer. You know what I mean? The guy that's sitting on the backseat telling the other people what to do. It's like, oh my god, why did you not just simply split up your army earlier? It's really easy to understand that while Battle Bob is giving his opponent this smiley face, he tried his very best to sacrifice like 400 Marines for the greater good of the Terran Dominion. He did indeed. GG out of the game, and Mr. Barcode is the one who obtains the victory. I like how they were playing mono battles earlier though, right? They were essentially playing mono battles, just simply making Marines versus Stalkers there non-stop. Bob almost won the game there. And then he just sort of got carried away. He's like, well, you know what? It worked the initial, 8 minutes of the game. Then all of a sudden, a couple of Colossi came out. Hold up, I actually want to go back just a second. How many kills do these Colossi have? There's 9 of them in total now. Well, these don't really have a lot. 7, 74, 7, 13, and 79. 74, 79. Oh my god. That is absolutely ridiculous. So indeed, Mr. Barcode is going to be victorious in this game of Protoss versus Terran. Now, if you have an awesome game yourself as well of StarCraft 2 that you recently played, you can go ahead and submit it to replays@LowkoTV. Just a simple email address. Just attach the .sc2 replay file to the email, and I may very well end up casting your game in the future. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, okay? Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one.